requested. Canelo requested. So we sent out a vote and we analyze his history.
Ooh, Canelo and Lomachenko requested?
Absolutely.
Ooh, you just made headlines.
Lomachenko.
You just made headlines.
Lomachenko, top rank, requested. And let me tell you, we analyzed the request.
Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working. Okay, now this is awkward. Lomachenko says that Devin Haney hasn't fought anyone after becoming franchise champion instead of fighting Devin Haney. So we got to talk about that on this video. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. Before I get started, make sure you guys click the link in the description. You'll see a separate link, or you'll see the link tree that gets you. It's a simplified link tree to get to all of my links, and click on that to get UFC 259, Adesanya, Amanda Nunes. There's a ton of champions on the card. UFC 259 this weekend. It should be a good fight, and you can support the channel and also see a good night's worth of fights, UFC 259, by clicking that link. Now, I made a video about it. Devin Haney, he says, like, where the F is Lomachenko? He said Lomachenko's been like kind of MIA, basically. And Lomachenko did respond to that. He says, I'm here. I'm waiting for you cowards to decide on a real fight and not a fight on Twitter. And this conversation was furthered and escalated via social media, right? After Lomachenko said he's waiting, Devin Haney says, waiting is not your best bet. I would have thought, or I would think you learned that from the Teofimo fight, because it took a while to get started. You know, it took like 6-7 rounds. And this is Lomachenko's response. He says, waiting is your favorite action because you still haven't fought anyone, right? And Devin Haney, to which he replied, I was definitely waiting to fight you when I was your mandatory and you petitioned for the franchise title, right? And he says, Lomachenko says, you know perfectly well that it was not my decision, but you shouldn't complain about it because after that, they sent you the belt by mail, right? Well, tell me who made the decision, Devin Haney asked. He says, you know perfectly well it wasn't my decision, right? And Lomachenko, he did respond. This is a verified Loma page too. So I don't know if it's Loma himself, but it's someone who's authorized or has his login and all that. And this is his response to that. He says, Devin Haney, what will it give you from me? Hold on. What will it give you from what I tell you? Whose decision was it? Very hard to read. Are you organizing our fight? Wow. So there are a couple problems with what Lomachenko's doing here. Is one, he just lost. He lost, right? And this is Mauricio Suleiman admitting that Lomachenko's team requested it right here, right? And Lomachenko, for one, he just took his second loss, first to Salido and then most recently to Teofimo. So all these belts gone, right? And then he even complained and said judges were bribed and somebody set him up. It was a game against him. and things like that. But the real problem with what Lomachenko is saying in this back and forth, it sounds good on Twitter. And see, look, boxing, there's a lot of clout chasing in boxing and a lot of different stuff going on in boxing. And if one is not so inclined, you haven't followed the sport, then it's easy to pick a side and get crossed up on what you're reading. Like, ooh, you got him. You know what I'm saying? But a person like me, this is what I've been doing for years, covering the sport of boxing every day, day in and day out. So I'm aware of what has went on, and I've made videos and reported about it. So Lomachenko's pretty much capping, because Devin Haney, what he said is absolutely true. He was calling out Lomachenko, right? And at the end of the day, Lomachenko's people decided to petition for the WBC. So Devin Haney is accurate. They petitioned for the WBC for the franchise champion, you know, right? And they, like, just like Canelo, they became the franchise champion. It says waiting is your favorite action because you still haven't fought anyone. But I don't know if it's Loma himself or somebody who's handling his account, like a manager, PR person or whatever. But these responses are lame because it's still a representation of Lomachenko. And while he's saying you haven't fought anyone, Devin Haney was trying to fight you. I mean, I could pull all of this stuff up. I mean, it really don't take. Look, told you. I could pull it up. Look, DAZN. It's on YouTube, September 13th, 2019. He didn't fight Teofimo until 2020. So Devin Haney was the mandatory, and the WBC, you see him with rocking the belt, donning the belt. He had just won. You see he has all the versions of the WBC belt, right? And Devin Haney says Vasyl Lomachenko refuses to fight him. So once again, this is more proof of what I'm saying. Devin Haney called him out. Like I said, I made videos about it. I talked about it. And you'll find several interviews and links. Devin Haney and Lomachenko trade barbs, blah, blah, blah. That's new. But he had been calling him out. That's the whole point. He had been calling him out. And Lomachenko's response is kind of lame because he's saying, "Who, you haven't fought nobody." But it's very coincidental that Loma, of all people, would say you haven't fought anyone and he was trying to fight you. I just showed you the proof of that. This is the whole call out video, and this was just one of them. He was calling him Lomachenko September 13th, 2019. So about a year, because he fought, if I'm not mistaken, he fought Teofimo in October 2020. So this is a little bit more than a year before we have physical proof on DAZN's boxing page on YouTube. There's the video that Devin Haney was calling you out. And that means his story checks out. So he's saying you still haven't fought anyone. That's kind of lame, because unless you don't know the situation, you know that Devin Haney was the mandatory and he was trying to fight Lomachenko, and it was Lomachenko's team or him or whoever that actually petitioned for the franchise champion. So how can you blame a fighter like Devin Haney for quote unquote not fighting anyone? But look at this situation. You have a black fighter. This continually happens to black fighters in the sport of boxing. Ryan Garcia is Devin Haney's mandatory. But if you listen to recent Ryan Garcia interviews, Ryan Garcia is saying he's not moved and motivated to fight Devin Haney. He says he's a great fighter, but Devin needs to do more. He needs to fight someone. Teofimo, he's with Top Rank. They said the franchise title was not transferable, but then as soon as they made Lomachenko Teofimo requested that it is transferable, and then they approved it, they being the WBC, and then he beat Lomachenko, so now he's the franchise champion. Teofimo is saying the same thing to Devin Haney. He's saying, hey, you got to do more. You got to fight somebody, right? All playing games like we weren't aware when Devin Haney called out all these guys. You see what I'm saying? And so that's Ryan Garcia, who's Devin Haney's mandatory. So you have a champion chasing a mandatory challenger. What part of boxing is this? You know what I mean? Where the champion is in pursuit of a challenger, like, yo, what's good? Let's make the fight. And then the mandatory challenger who has a title opportunity in the balance and has a real chance at a title for a real belt, he's telling the champion, you got to go do more. Like, it's crazy. Once again, Ego Stradamus strikes again. I predicted this. I predicted that De La Hoya and Golden Boy wouldn't want Ryan Garcia. I don't even think they barely wanted the Luke Campbell fight, but in beating Luke Campbell, we knew that Ryan would become the mandatory for Devin Haney, and I told you it would get here. And just like clockwork, now Ryan Garcia is saying that he's not interested in the Devin Haney fight. I mean, so what gives? Teofimo saying do more instead of just fighting Devin Haney and clearing up the undisputed. Ryan Garcia saying Devin Haney that fight doesn't motivate him, build your brand up, fight someone big. And Lomachenko is now saying you haven't fought anyone, but he was called out, which I can show you and prove, right? And remember, here's another proof that Devin Haney called out Lomachenko is that they were saying, he said something to the effect like, I'll never lose to a white fighter. He did that kind of B-hop approach, right? And people were saying, oh, why would he say this? This is ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. So we know that he had discussed wanting and being willing to fight Lomachenko. So for Lomachenko to pop out after losing to Teofimo in months of silence, after saying that judges were bribed and Teofimo wasn't landing on him and the punch counts were off by CompuBox, now he's popping out and saying, Devin Haney, you need to fight someone. It's just mighty ironic. So, I really hope Devin Haney is able to get a big fight with one of the big names, but so far, not so good. Teofimo saying do more. Ryan Garcia, the mandatory for a title shot, is telling the champion to do more. Lomachenko is saying, hey, you haven't fought anyone, but he's the one that requested the franchise title. This is all documented. The WBC is on record saying that they requested the title shot. Look, this is a video right here, and he says, what do you think of the Lomachenko being elevated? He says, what do you think of Lomachenko being elevated to the WBC champion? And he said he loves it. This is Carl Moretti, who is with him, with Top Rank, Lomachenko's people.
What do you think of the elevation of Vasil Lomachenko?
Love it.
He said love it. Without hesitation, love it.
You love it?
We asked for it.
What doesn't top?
See, he just said it. He just told you. So, case closed. Case closed. Devin keeps saying he's the boogeyman, and nobody's really proving him wrong. Everybody got an excuse or a reason. Like they're saying he sucks and he needs to do more. Okay, just fight him, whoop him, move his email belt or whatever people are saying, and move on with your life. So obviously they realize he's a threat and a level of a challenge because they only do this to certain fighters, and it's usually skilled fighters. Guys, oftentimes black fighters, Cuban fighters get it as well, like Afro-Cubans like Guillermo Rigondeaux. Oh, you're too boring and this and that, and playing all these games. It's sad when you see this stuff constantly in boxing. So Devin Haney got to just keep his head up, keep winning until, just like Errol Spence did. He was the boogeyman in his division at a time. But it's just sad to see that these are the games that are played in boxing to bamboozle the fans and make the fans feel different things are going on or whatever. So for Loma to pop out and make it sound like Devin Haney ain't fought no one on his own accord is just ironic and laughable, because the whole world knows. I made videos about it. I could show you and pull it up, but I don't have to do all that. Search Devin Haney, Lomachenko, Boxingego. You'll find all my past works. You'll see it's all post-dated with the correct dates of whenever they were uploaded, and you'll be able to see. You'll see for yourself. Do a little bit of research in case you don't know. Devin Haney, he's been calling out Lomachenko. So it's just ironic that Lomachenko saying, oh, you haven't fought anyone. He was trying to fight you. What about that? You know, he was trying to fight you and your team requested the franchise champion. Just like Canelo, instead of fighting a black fighter in his division, Jermall Charlo. And here's the thing. With this whole franchise champion, we knew it was bogus. And this is why. Because it doesn't really prove who's the best. And it's the witness protection belt. And it's just funny that Lomachenko is saying stuff like, oh, you know, it wasn't me who requested it. But your own team right there just did an interview and they said they love it and they requested it and they're bragging about it. So it doesn't, he's saying, oh, you know perfectly well it wasn't my decision. Well, the WBC blamed your side and went along with it. And these are the people you pay who get a percentage of your money. So this is your problem. This is not Devin Haney's doing. This is your doing. So for you to say that Devin Haney needs to fight someone, it sounds foolish. Your team requested to become franchise champion and you went along with it and you've never fought Devin Haney. And now that you've lost and have no belts, now you crawl out. You know, Lomachenko should probably work his way up, fight Nakatani or something, you know, fight Nakatani, or I don't know, beg Devin Haney for a fight or something if that's what you want now. But it doesn't erase the past. Your team, Team Lomachenko, requested the franchise stuff. If you thought Devin wasn't good enough or whatever, then you should have fought him and told your team, fall back. I'm paying you guys. This is not what I want. It's going to look like I'm ducking Devin Haney. And that's not what Loma did. He went along with it. So, you know, that's what you'll be judged from. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Use my link to get UFC 259, ESPN Plus pay-per-view. Shout out to Adesanya. Shout out to Devin Haney. We working.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.